Hi everyone, this is Usha Pandit, your Mind Springs English teacher. If you're coming to my channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe, press that bell notification, share and like the video and put a comment in the box so that I know that you like these kind of videos. So today I'm going to do a lesson on how to teach children to write with humor. So a couple of things I'm going to do. One is humorous writing, and more specifically I'm going to talk to you about how children can use similes, metaphors, personification in their writing, and that makes it strong and that makes it unbeatable. Not only do they write better, but their poetry, their understanding of simile, metaphor, personification, alliteration in their poetry becomes so sharp that you don't even have to teach it anymore. So this is multiple skills happening at the same time and it's all good. If you need help with the vocabulary, then I've got books, I've got Writing with Ease, which has got tons of vocabulary and tons of words. So unless you have great words, you can't really write powerfully. We also have Empowering English there, which is the course book and which does similes and metaphors, personification in detail. We have Language with Ease, which is a grammar, come writing, come oral, come vocabulary book. So we've got tons of great resources. You must visit our website www.mindsprings.in and take a look at them. That's for help. So let's begin right away. One of the most difficult things to teach is similes to children. So it's easy to recognize a simile, it's very hard to make one. Today I'm going to show you some great ways of making fabulous similes, okay, and a very easy way of doing it. So there was this school that I had gone to once, and there was a middle school kid who wrote this for me. Dave jumped from a cruise ship in a heroic attempt. So that was that's like saying he was heroic. So I said, fantastic. But you know what, if you had put a comparison, it would have made it better. Now when you say heroic, anything can be heroic. For some people, just killing a cockroach is heroic, right? For some people, you need to really ward off a terrorist attack to be called heroic. So heroic is not something that you can immediately catch because someone said heroic. So what shall we do? Let's make a comparison so that we know exactly what he's trying to say. So I said, why don't you say, Dave jumped from the cruise ship in a manner that would have made a naval diver go pale. When you go pale, what happens? You are shocked, and then you go white because you're just so impressed with what has happened. You're like, wow. So make a naval diver go pale. And who are you making go pale? A naval diver, which means the way he jumped off, it was even beyond all the Navy SEALs. That kind of comparison. I said that would add humor, because then it would be funny, because we know that he's just a boy who's jumping off a ship. Another attempt that I found was where they described a boring tour guide who was droning on. If you've ever gone to these tourist spots, sometimes the tour guides, they talk and talk and talk and talk, and they drone on and on about something. So this child was talking about this boring tour guide, droning on about the history of a monument, standing in front of the monument, going on and on and on. So what was suggested and what she had written was good. As a kid, I hated history lessons, and this guide was even more boring. Now see, this is just telling me that the guide was boring, right? But I can't really feel it. So what do I need to do? I need to create a comparison. And I said, this is what perhaps you could do. The tour guide droned on about the history of the place that made my boring history teacher back in school seem like an action hero in a fast-paced thriller. See, now you compared this boring tour guide to a boring teacher, and when you make that comparison, that teacher looks like an action hero. So there you have again humor. Now you're bringing in so many elements, see, into this. You're not just saying someone is boring, which is like a blah sentence. You're basically comparing to an action hero, a fast-paced thriller. You're bringing in lots of little ideas, and this is what makes writing very, very interesting. Okay. So when you make comparisons, sometimes the more absurd, the better. So suppose if I want to insult someone and say that he's got no brains, something like that. When you say it like that, it's rude, right? So it doesn't really, everyone doesn't take it, nobody laughs sometimes. So if you want to make a comparison, if you say that, well, the IQ levels of some people, all they are trying to do is outwit a cockroach. If you say that, what you are basically saying is that they are so low in IQ that even a cockroach would do better. Now there it becomes funny. You are not really naming anybody, you are not hurting anyone, but you are just making a general statement, and that becomes very, very effective. So comparisons are a sign of intelligence. So similes are not something that you find in poetry, where you say, oh, they danced like the daffodils. It's not just that, it's a lot more. It's something that adds spice to life. But it's hard to think of a simile. So I've found a wonderful way in which to teach similes, and I'm going to share it with you. So watch right up to the end. But before that, let me kind of just give you a quick review of what this kind of writing can do. It can increase your vocabulary, it can heighten humor, and it makes amazing personifications. When you personify something, like when I say outwit a cockroach, I'm basically personifying the cockroach, aren't I? I'm giving the cockroach human qualities of wit and intelligence. That's what I'm doing, and therefore it's funny. You need to, for children to write well, they need to see good writing. So if you read P.G. Wodehouse or you look at the movies of Roald Atkinson, you will find that those guys are so humorous, so funny. Or even if you read Ken Nesbitt or you look at Michael Rosent, all these people have high humor in their speech. A lot of humor there is based on language. So you must see good writing and hear good language. You analyze its components and patterns cognitively. When you look at something funny, you say, what made it funny? And you will find that it was made funny because of puns, double meanings, exaggeration, incongruities. Incongruities means things that don't match. Now, the IQ of a human being and the IQ of a cockroach is so incongruous. I mean, so completely unmatched, isn't it? And that's what creates the humor. You practice then in parts like football warm-ups. You keep on practicing just the simile. You don't teach with 2 examples and then say, okay, now come on, go and write 3 similes. That's hard. You just practice similes in the classroom. You can even do it orally. You come one day and ask, does anyone have a fabulous simile? Let's do a simile competition and put it up on the board. You can do so many things. But you can just spend about 2 seconds on the simile, and that will be a lot of practice, like dribbling on a football field. You can dabble in writing small bits just using that part, just a small little maybe 3-line passage using a simile. You can give that as an exercise. It's quick, it's easy, share a little bit, put it all online on a kind of a, common chat, and you're done. You should also seek help, of course, and you must make sure that you practice quite a lot, and that's there's no substitute, as they say, for practice. So what did I do? So we looked at similes like this. So you take an animal, okay, now we took a cockroach there, and you can take any animal. You take a verb that the child is trying to use in the passage. So maybe the child is saying climbed, or the child is saying attacked, or the child is saying needs to say fled, or needs to say ate, or needs to say found. It can be any verb, a verb that fits into the story. So like he said, what was that child who said that the kid hated, or you could say he jumped. So jump was a verb. Now he had this idea that he jumped from a cruise ship. What I did was to give him a comparison. Now if you make animal comparisons, they are riotously funny. They are really very funny. And let's look at some of them. So for example, if I say use the verb attacked. In my story, there's an attack, and if I say he attacked like an abrasive ant. Now what have I done there? Attacked is a violent word, you're going to hit somebody. Your ant is really small, incongruity. So it becomes very funny because you're talking about an ant, and here we are talking about somebody who's going to fight a big person, right? And an abrasive ant. Abrasive there is an adjective that means almost like something that's going to corrode you, something that's going to harm you a lot. So if you say he attacked, you might be talking about a cake, for example, and you say he attacked the cake like an abrasive ant. Becomes very funny because it shows a certain, you can almost picture the ant's face being really pugnacious, and that can be very funny. So I'll give you some more so that you understand. Broke wind like a bored barracuda. See the alliteration, bored barracuda, abrasive ant. Broke wind means pass gas. So if somebody is sitting there in a particular way and you want to talk about how the person is so bored, and then you have this broke wind. So you will find that the verb, the adjective and the animal are all in alliterations. This is a rule. And you need to create a funny image. So if you are passing gas like a bored barracuda, barracuda is of course a fish, then it's funny because you never associate barracudas with passing gas. Coughed like a cantankerous coyote. Funny because coyote, cantankerous, and cough. So you got the k sound. Dashed like a deluded dragonfly. Deluded is crazy, deluded is nuts, and a dragonfly is what you're calling nuts, so it makes it funny. Enthused. Enthused means if somebody falling all over you and praising you and sucking up to you big time is enthusing. Oh, you're so pretty, you're so clever, you're so good. This is enthusing, right? Enthused like an effusive. Effusive again is a person who talks a lot and uses a lot of praise words. Eve. Eve is a female sheep, right? So therefore it's again funny. Flirted like a fluttering flamingo, gurgled like a gorilla with gastritis. Haha. Harped like a haranguing horsefly, jeered like a jealous jellyfish, slithered like a self-aggrandizing snake. Now look at my adjectives, they are powerful. So how did the person slither? Like a snake, which is an easy comparison. But when I put an adjective, I am putting an adjective that is so not snake. Self-aggrandizing is what you would use with a politician. Somebody who stands there and says, I am the greatest, I have done this, I have done that, nobody like me, I am the one who is going to save the country. That is self-aggrandizing. Somebody who makes himself grand, and here you are putting it on a snake, and that incongruity makes you laugh. A couple more. Bellowed like a belligerent buffalo. So bellowing like a buffalo is simple, but you put belligerent. Belligerent is somebody who's angry and stubborn and will not give up. Normally put for people who are extremely, people who want to fight with you. They're belligerent, right? And you have used it on a buffalo, so it makes it funny. Crouched. Crouch is to sit on your haunches and hide like a cowardly cur. Cur is a dog, used a lot by Shakespeare as a curse word, but here crouched like a cowardly cur is you're actually demeaning somebody. Camouflaged like a crafty chameleon. Camouflaged like a camouflaged like a chameleon is common, but when you say crafty chameleon, you give the chameleon the personified bit of being cunning and devious and therefore manipulative. So it becomes very, very funny. So please get your children to use similes, teach similes, collect lots of powerful adjectives, use the sound or the nature of the animal in an alliteration. So bellowing like a buffalo, camouflage like a chameleon is a k, kh, b, b. Get those words in first and then find an adjective with the same sound and throw it in. It's going to be great. Children have a great sense of humor, they have a fantastic imagination, and once they start doing stuff like this, they get addicted to it because it's their age to laugh uproariously at stuff like this. You and I may not find it very funny, but kids are simply going to fall off their chairs laughing, right? Heads rolling, as they say. So therefore, go for it, try it, and do let me know how it's going. So until we meet again, keep smiling.